Hello, everybody. I'm Gary Maloney, and this is your Monday Night Raw edition for Sacktown Slam. Now, before we begin, tonight, we definitely know now that Asuka is coming to Monday Night Raw. Now, this is definitely not something that is, I expected her to go to Raw because the rumors really said that she was going to go to Raw. I didn't expect it this soon, though, because she is supposedly injured. So, with that in mind, let me start with the review. Okay, the first match, Roman Reigns versus Jason Jordan. Now, last week, if you don't remember, he faced John Cena. So, he's faced both alphas in the company. Now, it started out, Jordan extended his hand for a shake, but Reigns declines. The bell rings, and they circle around the ring before locking up. John Cena is watching backstage. They give a clean break. Reigns gives a lock applied, but Jordan quickly gets out and goes for a takedown. Reigns doesn't go down and instead connects with a pair of right hands. Reigns drives him into the corner twice, and Jordan tries to fight back, but Reigns again attacks him up with a punch. Reigns starts clutching him in the corner, but Jordan quickly counters before connecting with a belly-to-belly overhead suplex. Jordan drives some shoulders into Reigns in midsection before punching away at him. Jordan puts him in the corner and stomps him down. Jordan whips his hand into the corner before whipping him in him sternum first with a clothesline. Reigns gets him in the corner and hits 10 clubs before hitting the ropes for a big boot. Reigns goes for a Superman punch, but Jordan counters into a crossface. This was one of the best spots. You want to know how to counter the Superman punch? There you go. Just go into an arm bar. Freaking disarmer. Reigns gets into the bottom rope and gets out of the ring. Commercial break. We come back from the break to see Jordan fighting up to his feet. Jordan tries to fight back, but Reigns headbutts him down. John Cena is still watching backstage. Reigns whips him hand into the corner before hitting a swap suplex. Reigns applies a chin lock, but Jordan fights up and elbows out. Jordan hits the ropes, but Reigns floors him with the Samoan drop for a near fall. Reigns then goes back to the chin lock. Jordan eventually fights up and powers Reigns into the corner. Reigns tries to boot him back, but Jordan counters it and hits another belly-to-belly overhead suplex. They both take some time to fight, and Reigns goes for a Samoan drop, but Jordan slides off and sends him into the corner before hitting him with a clothesline for a 2 count. They get to their feet and trade punches before Jordan hits a pair of forearms and a drop kick for a near fall. And let me tell you, that drop kick was impressive. Jordan powers into the corner and goes for a belly-to-belly, but Reigns punches out. Jordan ducks a clothesline and hits a snap-back suplex for a 2 count. Jordan waits for Reigns to get up and hits a running shoulder thrust. Jordan pulls the top of his singlet down before hitting a pair of Northern Light suplexes for a near fall. Like, he literally went into a Northern Light suplex, picked him back up again, and went for another Northern Light suplex without breaking whatsoever. This guy is the real deal, and I really feel like he should be held in a lot bigger regard than he is. So, I mean, burying him with the two people that have the golden shuffle, you know what I mean? Give me a break. Reigns quickly elbows him back and avoids a shoulder thrust. Jordan hits the ring post, shoulder first, and falls out of the ring. Reigns goes outside and hits Jordan with a drive-by drop kick. Reigns gets him in the ring, connects with a Superman punch, and then boos pick up before Reigns connects with a spear for the win. I wanted Jason Jordan to win this one bad, but I knew deep down they were just going to give it to the guy. So, you know, you got to temper your expectations anytime anyone goes against Cena or the guy. So, such is life in that respect. Though, after the match, at least, you know, he had the good taste to shake his hand, after which he was sweating buckets too. So I do not think that this was an easy win in any respect for Roman Reigns at all. Then went from a commercial break. Cena gets in the ring, starts putting Roman Reigns on blast, tells Roman that if he was really the guy, that he'd stay sharp and see to the occasion when it presents it, and rise to the occasion when it presents itself. Looking at him now, Cena feels that Reigns will be a cakewalk for him at No Mercy. Cena tells him that he just doesn't have it. Reigns isn't doing his job. Cena tries to leave, and Reigns stops him. Reigns tells Cena to come back, and so he can respond. Reigns tells Cena that ticket sales are sky high, and the only reason Cena is upset is because WWE doesn't need him. It is Cena that needs WWE because he can't break into Hollywood. Yeah, that's why he has a Bumblebee movie coming out. Dork. Anyway, Cena tells Reigns to think of him as a drug test because at No Mercy, Reigns ain't getting past him, Holmes. This was obviously a jab at the time that Roman Reigns failed the drug test because he got busted with Diana Ball. Wow. I'm shocked and amazed that they even let him say that, but I think this was another shoot promo. I think they're putting Roman Reigns through the SAT of shoot promos. So I honestly believe that, you know, that this is getting very personal between these two. I don't know if it was meant to be that way, but it is. Anyway, Raw Women's Champion Alexa Bliss joins the broadcast, and Emma and Sasha Banks were about to have a match. Nia joins and comes down from the ramp and, you know, joins the announce table and stands looking directly at Alexa Bliss. Back again, and Emma is taking it to Sasha. Jax has joined the broadcast table on commentary. Emma lands a pump handle suplex. Sasha starts to fire back as she lands some strikes and then a drop kick. Sasha charges at Emma, and in the corner, but gets hit with an arm drag. Sasha flips and lands upside down in the corner. Sasha gets sat in the corner, and Emma hits her with a crossbody. She pins, but Sasha kicks out. Suddenly, Sasha grabs hold of a bank statement and forces Emma to tap. This was really short and a very shitty women's match for Raw to be putting on. I can't wait for Asuka, because Asuka, I mean, with the way the women are wrestling right now, she's gonna blow through that division. And I swear, if they pull some kind of stupid swerve where they have her and fucking Bucktooth McGee decides to say, oh gee, you know, I'll have Asuka do her first match. Yep. Cause I run the show. Yep. And if you don't like it, you can pay to fix my teeth. Yeah, you can go up your first year salary to fix my teeth. But, yeah, I'm not. The only thing about. There are two things about No Mercy I don't give a shit about. The Fatal 4-Way Women's match, because as it's been said, the only reason Emma is even in it, Mrs. Oh, hashtag, I started the women's revolution. You know, not that I want to go around throwing things around like this, but I believe it was Nikki Bella that said this, and it was one of the two Bellas. And she said that she was responsible for the women's revolution and that she wanted to get in the ring with freaking Ronda Rousey. Like, really? Like, you think... I didn't believe it was Nikki. Like, you think that you are on the same level as Ronda Rousey? Girl, you ain't even in the same echelon as Ronda Rousey. First of all, and to say that you started the women's revolution, do you know who started the women's revolution? It was AJ Lee and Paige. Boom. Not even kidding. The fact that Paige came out on her first night at WrestleMania, I believe it was 30, and won the title from AJ Lee, those two women changed wrestling forever, because it was one of the best matches on that card. Paige and AJ Lee started the women's revolution. Natalya doesn't get nearly enough credit for assisting in the women's revolution. The Four Horsewomen helped a great deal in starting the women's revolution. Nia Jax helped further the women's revolution. Fucking Asuka is the epitome of the women's revolution. The only thing, in my opinion, Emma did was pop some fucking toasters, blow up some toasters for catering. So, no, you did not start shit. Anyway, Universal Champion Brock Lesnar comes out to the ring with his advocate Paul Heyman and basically shit-talking the monster among men. They talk about how Strowman got what happened at SummerSlam, how Strowman slammed Lesnar through 2 announce tables and then tipped the third on top of him. It was an impressive and intimidating display, but does Strowman have what it takes where it counts? Is he tougher than the Beast? Because Strowman will have to pry the belt from Lesnar's cold, dead fingers and walk through hell to do it. For all Strowman's impressiveness, he isn't anywhere to resume. He isn't anywhere to resume that to presume that Lesnar has that he hasn't. For all Strowman's impressiveness, he hasn't anywhere to presume that Lesnar doesn't. Tonight, Strowman will look to defeat John Cena, someone who Lesnar has beaten, victimized, and conquered a long time ago. Heyman did a pretty decent promo here. Heyman states that Lesnar is used to someone asking him, "Fighter, are you ready?" And so he asks Lesnar, "Fighter, are you ready?" Lesnar nods his head. Then Heyman beckons Strowman to come out to the ring, and Strowman obliges. He comes out and gets to the ring, and they start breaking immediately. They start brawling immediately. They battle back and forth until Lesnar grabs him around the waist and delivers a big German suplex to the monster. Lesnar gets hyped up, but Strowman rolls right up and back onto his feet right away. Lesnar doesn't see right away, but then turns around to see Strowman none the worse for wear. Strowman hits Lesnar with a pair of consecutive choke slams, and then holds the Universal title over his head as he looks down at the broken Lesnar. Yeah, Lesnar got owned. I mean, Lesnar quite literally got owned on this one. It just feels like this could have been. It seems like Lesnar just absolutely just destroyed. He just got destroyed. I mean, there's no other way to say it. Lesnar got owned by Braun Strowman, and you know, they kept saying it a lot during the broadcast that this was a WrestleMania worthy event. Well, why is it at a B-level pay-per-view? I mean, really, you know, it's very interesting. Then you had Bray Wyatt versus Goldust, which I kind of figured this would be the segue into a new feud for Bray, because obviously, you know, it would be nice to see Bray versus Goldust, but no, more shit with Finn Balor. Goldust gets into the ring, then Bray Wyatt comes to the ring and cuts a promo on him. Bray enters and makes his way to the ring. Now, the promo he cut on him was interesting. He said that he and Finn Balor were exactly the same, and that their paint is their power, or some shit like that. I like it. I think it is very, very true. And he said that without their paint, they were just men. I think it's very, very true. Anyway, he entered his way to the ring. The bell rings. Goldust boots Bray in the face and sends him rolling out of the ring. Goldust goes out after him and levels him with a shot. Back in the ring, and they each bounce off the ropes, and Bray takes Goldust out of his shiny gold suit with a brutal clothesline. Bray tries to follow up with a senton, but Goldust moves. They end up outside the ring, and Goldust gets the advantage, and he delivers some offense, couple of punches, nothing big. But in the ring, Bray regains control. He hits Sister Abigail and gets a 3 count. This was not a very long match. This was very, very, very short. Bray Wyatt wins. After the match, Bray says he's just a man. Finn Balor's music hits and he runs out to the ring as Bray turns tail and retreats. Bray backs his way up and his way back up the aisle towards the back, and Balor stands in the ring. They eye each other down immediately. Sheamus and Cesaro are interviewed. Okay, now before I go to that, I have to be honest. The match at No Mercy between Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor is man to man, meaning he can't bring out himself in demon paint. I think they are trying to keep that special, which, okay, but at the same time, you know, at this point, this feud has gone to a juncture where it should not matter. I do understand keeping the paint thing special, but at this point, I'm wondering why they're still fighting, because it makes zero sense, and I want to see this feud end, because there are better things for these guys to be doing right now, but more than likely they're going to be feuding through October, and that's my assumption. I don't have any real proof of that, but it's Halloween, you got the Demon, you got Bray Wyatt. I wouldn't be surprised come October if he's throwing fucking candy at him or something because he thinks he's a big costume freak. You know, not that Bray Wyatt's any better, freaking Mr. Duck Dynasty doofus. But, yeah, you know, not very great. Then you had a commercial break, and then you had a tag team match, Sheamus and Cesaro versus Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. I'm not even going to bother, because this one didn't have a winner. What happened was, you know, Gallows and Anderson came out, and at the time, Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were on commentary. And then when Sheamus and Cesaro came out, I guess there was some sort of verbal exchange. And then all three teams just started beating the shit out of each other. So there was no winner. And then there was a commercial. There was a commercial. Rollins and Ambrose are entering GM Room's Kurt Angle, and they want a match with both tag teams. They just brawled through. Angle says he can't put his tag champs in such a compromising position, so close to No Mercy. But if they can find some tag partners, they can have an 8-man tag team match against them instead. Now, from what you hear, everybody just starts going, delete, 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 fucking all through Anaheim. Oh my god, the delete chance. Wow. I mean, you basically have to kind of assume that's who they're going to get, because obviously the Revival is injured, and Enzo and Cass don't exist anymore. Speaking of Cass, I'll get to him later, but then you had Alexa Bliss is trying to convince Nia Jax to bury the hatchet so they can go back to being friends. Bliss says she wishes she hadn't done, she didn't have to have a fatal 4-way match at No Mercy, because she would rather face Jax one-on-one in a classic for the ages. Jax says they can be friends again, but Bliss won't be happy with what Jax just did. Jax actually asked Kurt Angle about the one-on-one match Bliss seems to want, and that will be happening next week. This should be interesting, and it should add to the dynamic of No Mercy, because this will be a week out. Not sure why you're putting your champion in a match a week out, but okay. But, you know, it's good that they didn't beat this into the ground. And, you know, Emma versus Sasha was a good choice for this week. I think Nia versus Alexa Bliss is a little bit too much for your champ. You probably should have had that one this week, but okay. Anyway, Elias was the next segment, which I always love his segments. I don't care what anybody says, man. This is a guy, and he pretty much just systematically buried Kalisto. I'm not even going to go over that match. He basically had Kalisto in an armbar for half the match, which kind of made it boring. I fell asleep at this point. I'm glad I recorded Raw because, dear God, that second hour, I don't know what it is about Raws being 3 hours, but it's too much. Too much, especially late at night. Just too much. Kalisto didn't get off much offense. I mean, I think he got a tornado DDT off on Elias for a 2 count, and that was basically the extent of his offense. Elias won with drift away, that little swing turn. He also got off a power bomb when Kalisto tried to do some kind of hurricanrana, and he got just bombed right into the ground. So Kalisto, newest resident in the back, in the Lovable Losers Club. Then we had John Cena versus Braun Strowman. Oh my goodness. Wowie. Cena enters and looks with trepidation up at the aisle as Strowman makes his entrance. Bell sounds and Cena rushes Strowman immediately and gets pushed out of the ring. Yeah, one of those Strowman pushes, as in you just got checked. Cena slides back inside and cautiously moves around the ring in anticipation of the monster in front of him, pulling a Floyd Mayweather kind of shit. They tie up and Cena grabs a side headlock. Strowman shrugs him off and levels him with a clothesline. Strowman then hits a splash in the corner and then knocks Cena down with a headbutt. Strowman lays Cena out with a clothesline and stomps him when he's down. And we're talking violent stomps. Like, gee. Cena crawls and clutches Strowman to get to his feet. Cena lands a drop kick that staggers Strowman, but Strowman returns with a big drop kick of his own, and the crowd erupts with cheers. This was the kind of drop kick that Apollo Crews got about a month or 2 back. I mean, this just annihilated Cena. Like, this guy's a freak of nature, okay? He annihilated Cena during this match. Cena tries to stand up, but Strowman throws him back down. Cena explodes to his feet and starts looking for the attitude adjustment, but Strowman clubs Cena down. Strowman lifts Cena up and lands a big punch and knocks Cena back. Strowman lands a shot to Cena in the corner. He charges in and Cena gets his feet up. Cena rushes at Strowman, but then gets tossed by a follow-away slam. Then we head to a commercial. Back again, and Strowman is dominating Cena. Strowman moves up towards Cena, and Cena pulls the top rope down, and Strowman topples over, landing on his feet on the floor. Cena goes out after him and manages to throw Strowman into the ring apron. Back in the ring, Cena goes for an attitude adjustment, but can't get Strowman up, and falls forward with Strowman landing on top of him. Strowman runs at Cena in the corner, but Cena moves and Strowman runs into the corner post. Cena hits a belly to belly, or belly to back suplex, excuse me. As Cena goes for a 5-knuckle shuffle, Strowman jumps to his feet and delivers a spine buster, which, ooh, I would have wanted to have been Cena at that point. Cena suddenly finds an opening and hits an AA. Strowman rolls out of the ring to avoid Cena capitalizing. And then this is when the fans started getting really loud. Let's go Cena, Cena sucks. Cena goes out after Strowman, and he runs around the ring apron. He runs right into the steel steps wielded by Strowman. Now, this is my thing. That right there is disqualification. And before this, during the commercial break that they were talking about when he got tossed away by Fallaway Slam, he got thrown into the steps. So that was even more damage that we were not able to see, but that did happen. And then for him to get hit by the steps, that right there should have been a disqualification. I don't know why it was not, but, things are the way that they are in the WWE. Anyway, let me find my place. Strowman slides the steps into the ring. He walks over and looks down at Cena, who is lying on his back at ringside. Strowman throws him back into the ring and then moves the steps into the center. At this point, the ref is going, if you use the steps, I'm gonna disqualify you. Like, Roman did not give a shit. At this point, Strowman lifts Cena up for a power slam and plants Cena right onto the staff. The ref calls for the bell and disqualifies Strowman. Boom. Cena got dismantled tonight. I mean, it was just destructive. It was incredible that he was just systematically destroyed that way. I honestly believe that tonight it was really more or less about their guys either getting, they both won. Cena and Reigns both won, but Reigns got embarrassed, and Strowman, even though technically Cena got the win, Strowman just annihilated Cena. I mean, there's no doubt about that on that one. So, anyway, Seth Rollins, after the commercial break, Seth and Dean Ambrose are backstage looking for tag partners. They appear to be having a tough time of it. They ran into a guy they called the Man of 1,000 Holds. I guarantee that was Dean Malenko. Because I believe that was Dean Malenko's his old catchphrase. I was like, yeah, let's throw Dean Malenko back in there, get us some classic. But Seth Rollins like, nah. And then they run into the Hardy Boys. Yeah, like the Hardy Boys is always there. And Matt says it positively, that it's positively wonderful, yes, to see them. I mean, he is using so many broken mannerisms at this point that, given the fact that GFW is going, they're not this, they're this. So, I'll be honest with you, I don't think WWE cares anymore what GFW is going to do to them, because at this point, they may end up purchasing GFW. That's not news, that's in my opinion, just to clarify that. But, I mean, it's really kind of gotten bad for indie wrestling right now because it looks like Lucha Underground is also going to go under because El Rey Network, who's the primary sponsor of Lucha Underground, they're not going to be. I mean, they're saying that it's not looking good for season 4. So there's going to be a lot of free agent talent within the next 12 months. I would say between guys from New Japan, guys from GFW, assuming they go under in the next year. I mean, they're like a fucking cockroach in a radioactive nuclear wasteland. They'll survive, but I don't know how long. And then Lucha Underground, it's not official yet, but it's not looking good. And, you know, we will see how much money El Rey Network can get for Lucha Underground, but there's lack of sponsors. Anyway, Intercontinental Champion Miz comes out with Maurice and the Miztourage for an edition of Miz TV. Before he gets his guest tonight, which was, by the way, Enzo Amore, he said he and his wife Maurice had an announcement that will change the face of WWE forever. They've been thinking long and hard about how they were going to announce it, blah, 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 blah. And Miz prompts Maurice, who reveals that they're having a baby. Now, I get the feeling that this is probably the truth, and that Maurice probably is having a child. So I would expect Maurice more than likely to be off WWE programming fairly soon. So if she's having a child, she's more than likely in her first trimester. So I would say around the Rumble, she ain't going to be on TV. And it's just going to be Miz and the Miztourage. So understand that that's probably going to be the case, assuming legit that she's pregnant. I mean, there's all these goofy fucking storylines they try out that aren't always good. Like, oh my god, Jason Jordan's my son. You know, just stupid garbage like that. So let's hope that this isn't that kind of garbage. But knowing the Miz and the way that his mind works, I don't think it is. I think she really is pregnant. And given what John Cena did for Nikki Bella and marrying her at WrestleMania, I think sometimes they give the crowd a pop like that, and the crowd was very happy for them. They cheered when they said she was pregnant, so I don't think you're going to come out and say that on live national television for no apparent reason. That's just like, boo. Anyway, the crowd chants yes. Miz and Maurice are all smiles and they look at each other. Miz starts to tell her that unlike Kurt Angle, he will be there for their child day one. Fuck you. The Miz starts to read a prepared letter and Enzo's music interrupts and Miz trails off and has a look of disbelief on his face and is insulting and feels insulted. Enzo starts hitting his catchphrases and cutting a promo. This did not even begin to describe what was said, because Miz was talking about, well, I know what it's like for you, and you could be on the Miztourage, but you need to straighten up because you keep getting thrown off of tour buses and people in the back hate you and this and that and yada yada yada. You know, why do you think you're good enough to hang with guys that do aerial moves that are 3 times as good as what you're capable of? And then, you know, Enzo is like, oh, so you want to get real, Mike, which he said his real name, and he's like, you see me? You He's like, you're just a carbon copy of Ric Flair and all these other classic wrestlers. I'm all me. And and then just during their match, because they had a match after this, which I want to talk about that for a second. They're letting a cruiserweight have a match with the IC champ. Now, I don't know, because they didn't have one of those six-man cruiserweight matches tonight. It was just Enzo versus The Miz. If they're going to start having these cruiserweights get shots at real champs, or just at anyone in the other divisions, I'm all for it. It's the same thing with Kalisto. I'm all for it. Hell, take a guy like Cedric Alexander, make him a champ. There's a guy named Grand Metalik I would love to see as the Intercontinental Champion. There's a guy named Jack Gallagher, who I think would make an incredible IC champ. Obviously, none of those guys, with the exception of Neville, would be even worth putting the Universal title on. But, damn, could you imagine what Neville would be like with the IC champion? He'd be a beast. You want to talk about bringing legitimacy back to the IC title, there it is. Then you had Miz versus Enzo. I'm not even gonna bother because this match really wasn't a match at all. It was a DQ that ended with Enzo Amore, and they were basically the best part of this match was just the insults being thrown back and forth, saying that if Miz was such an A-lister, why is his collection all on DVD? And that Miz shouldn't be asking how you doing. The question should be he should be asking he should be asking about his child is who's your daddy. I mean that dude's gonna get pimp slapped in the back by the Miz. And then the crowd just erupted in who's your daddy freaking chants. I mean, this was a really alive crowd, and that's kind of why I love it when they come to my backyard in California, because we were pretty hyped. We're not Illinois, we're not New York. I don't know if we get that hyped, but we're not some fucking Bucktooth McGee town in the Midwest where you can do anything and you can hear a pin drop in the background, much like what was it, SmackDown last week? Oh my gosh, that was unbearable. The crowd just sucked. Like, you got no reaction from that crowd. Then you had 8-man tag team match with Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, the Hardy Boys versus Cesaro and Gil Anderson. Now, as everyone gets to the ring, a brawl ensues. Once that clears up, Jeff Hardy starts things off against Cesaro. Jeff starts taking it to Cesaro, and then Matt tags in. He and Jeff deliver some team offense. Then Cesaro lands a European uppercut to Matt and tags in Sheamus. Matt ends up clotheslining both Sheamus and Cesaro out of the ring, and Jeff tags in and hits Poetry in Motion over the top rope on Sheamus and Cesaro on the outside of the ring. Commercial break. Back again, and Ambrose rips some chops across Anderson's chest as he's the legal man back from the commercial. Gallows tags in, and Gallows and Ambrose taking it to him, and Gallows is taking it to Ambrose then. Ambrose ends up on the apron, and Gallows boots him in the face, which looked ugly, knocking him backward onto the floor. Ambrose is on Weird Street as the ref starts to count him out. Gallows runs out before the count finishes and brings him back into the ring. He lays Ambrose out and pins for a 2 count. Sheamus and Cesaro comes in and double team Ambrose. And then Sheamus puts on a rear chin lock. Ambrose tries to stand up, but Sheamus puts him back down. Gallows comes in and delivers some offense, followed by Anderson, and they cut the ring off from Ambrose, meaning that they kind of had him in the corner, and they cut off the other half of the ring and were just beating on him senselessly. Well, not senselessly, because they wanted to win the match, but it was Gallows, Anderson, Sheamus, and Cesaro just beating him to death. Ambrose tries to push to the corner, but Anderson drives him away. Cesaro tags in and latches onto Ambrose's throat with a chokehold. Ambrose stands up and makes some space. He and Cesaro start trading punches, and then they fight over a backside. Ambrose gets it, but Cesaro kicks out. Sheamus tags in and sets up with white noise. Cesaro hits by leaping off the top rope and driving Ambrose into the canvas with extra force. And in comes Ambrose, and they start putting things together. He lands a swinging neck breaker and starts crawling into his corner. Gallows runs across the ring and knocks Ambrose's partners off the apron. Gallows tries to take up the offense, but Ambrose clotheslines him down. Sheamus comes in and rushes at Ambrose, but he moves and Sheamus gets shoulder first into the ring. And then Cesaro comes in and stops Ambrose from getting the tag, but then Ambrose backdrops him out of the ring. Finally, Ambrose tags Rollins, who comes in hot. You know, it was one of those hot tags, because Ambrose was like dying in the middle of the ring. Rollins hits a blockbuster on Anderson, and by the way, Gallows and Anderson almost hit a Magic Killer on Ambrose. They didn't actually specify that, but that's what happens. And really, Ambrose showed a lot. I mean, he took on like 3 guys at once, and this description doesn't really do it justice. But you know, he's sitting there hitting people in the neck, kicking people, you know, doing his little clotheslines, you know, bouncing off the ropes and such, just to get to that tag. I mean, that was amazing on Ambrose's part, and this is why I like Ambrose. I know people want to be like, Ambrose sucks. Ambrose is the worst member of the Shield. Well, you can say that, but he's still a former WWE champion. He held the WWE title more times and longer than a guy like Bray Wyatt. He has held the Intercontinental title. He is currently the tag team champion. He's the longest reigning U.S. champion. So, come on! Respect. You want to talk about the bar? He's the bar. So is the rest of the Shield. But we will see what happens with Roman Reigns and how good of a performance he can give us versus Cena at No Mercy. Or, I mean, WrestleMania. I mean, No Mercy. But anyway. Cesaro comes in and stops Ambrose from getting the tag, but then Ambrose backdrops on the ring. Finally, Rollins comes in hot. By the way, at this time when Rollins came in too, all of his other partners were laid out at ringside because they were all just brawling it. And when Rollins was the first one to get to his feet and saw how bad Ambrose needed to tag in. Anyway, Rollins hits a blockbuster on Anderson, which looked really nice. He hits a suicide dive onto Gallows. Rollins super kicks Anderson and pins, but Gallows comes in to break up the tag. The Hardys come in, and Gallows gets hit with a twist of fate. Then the Hardys are standing on the apron, and they block Cesaro and Sheamus from getting in the ring. Rollins hits Anderson with his knee strike, and then stumbles right into Dirty Deeds for the finish. So, yeah, Rollins and Ambrose are looking pretty sweet right now. I mean, this was won by Seth, Dean, and the Hardy Boys. Definitely a much, even though I fell asleep because 3-hour Raws are way too fucking long, WWE, 2 hours. 2. This Miz TV shit was not all that important. Enzo versus Miz was a step in the right direction, but give Miz some competition. I want to see Miz versus Neville. See, he wants to talk shit. He should get shit. But the fact of the matter is that this was a decent Raw. It could have been better, but I'll be honest. As in terms of Raw and what we've seen in the last 12 months, this blows everything away. The fact that Braun annihilated Cena and Lesnar in the same episode, this gets 2 thumbs up from me. Not just 1, but 2. I mean, thank you for beating the shit out of John Cena, and thank you for beating the shit out of Brock Lesnar, because those are both guys that had it fucking coming. And I do not mean kayfabe-wise. I mean legit, I'm gonna hold the title and hold it in purgatory for 6 months. Fucking Brock Lesnar, little bitch. And then just John Cena, who, I hope we can't see you after Braun was finished with you. I hope we can't see you at freaking No Mercy either. But that Braun is making a serious case for giving him the Universal title. I mean, I wish Braun was on SmackDown, because then there would be no case for Durga Mahal to have the WWE title. But, I'll save SmackDown for SmackDown. Hopefully, Sin City SmackDown is good tomorrow. I'm always a fan of Las Vegas. Any show they've done in Las Vegas has usually been big time. So, hopefully I'll be back tomorrow. And, but tonight, definitely a thumbs up show. I wasn't real hot on the main event though. That really feels like a match you would have at the end of the first hour, or at the end, or at the beginning of the third hour. That does not, like, the main event here should have been Braun versus Cena. Now, I don't think the matches during this Raw were bad, but they were ordered very, very awkwardly. Like, you could have done the Miz TV shit in the second hour and been just fine. You could have done the women's shit in the second hour and been just fine. It just feels like that first hour is sort of being diluted with meh kind of stuff, and what we really want is stuff that we care about. So hopefully WWE, it looks like they're trying to fix Raw, and they're just trying to find a way to shell out their time. like I said, we saw no cruiserweights other than Enzo. And after Enzo got his ass kicked by The Miz, um, there was a segment with Neville after he got into the locker room, and Neville was just looking at him and snickering. So I liked that. Anyway, this was your Raw review for tonight, for Monday Night Raw, and I am Gary Maloney for Sacktown Slam, and I am signing out.